Okay, resi-tester time. We've just went through the process of terminating our custom-built CAT cable, or Ethernet cable, is what most people call it. But we don't know if this works. We could have a bad connector. We could have messed up some of our color coding, and it's a best practice for us to verify as much stuff as possible, particularly wire. This wire, typically, when you're addressing it on an install, might only be a few feet long or a couple feet long like this, but most likely it's going to be dozens, if not hundreds of feet long, ending at the demarc location, which is where all the wires are going to be, landing in some other part of the structure altogether. And you're going to probably have this keystone down in the room end of the install, and then you're going to have these possibly down in the rack end, or maybe even these in the rack end as well. But what we want to do is we want to verify that the connections made at each end of this wire is 100% ready to go, so that when we put the endpoint devices on this wire, it's going to do what we've designed it for. If we don't verify, then we could go through and do the installation, and we could be having a problem with a network connection or a bail-in connection. We're not getting HDMI to handshake properly with the TV. We're not getting an image, and there's a whole host of problems that could go wrong, and our termination might be the culprit. So it's important that we go ahead and we verify early. As soon as these wires are ready, get them verified, know that they're good. If there's a problem, find the problem, fix the problem, move on to something, to the next item. And what we use to verify is this device, just commonly called a resi-tester. This one that I have is, again, a decent tool. I think it is probably $120. Bought 15 years ago or so, made by Ideal, which makes a lot of the devices that we're working with in the communications trade. And this has a number of different testing modes. We've got a network tester. We also have a tel tester, which is really, asking the device to test for an RJ11 or an RJ45. It's just really turning these ports on. When you go between here and here, telephone is going to be, or the tel is going to be the RJ11 connection. The network is going to be looking at the RJ45. There is also a coax tester. We use this less often nowadays, but we still do use it. And then this will also do toning functions. If you want this to be a toner, you just tell it what of these three devices you want to test for, and then you do that. And now it's sending tone out of these connectors, so that you can use a sniffer at the other end and find your wire. So we're going to be using this for network though. So we're going to put this in network mode, and there's this connector, this little box that goes at the other end of your wire, that's just there to sort of throw back the electrical connection so that this can test for continuity. I have a factory terminated Ethernet cable, and I'm just going to take and pop this in here, and I'm going to show you what it should look like if we get it right. There's a number of different resi testers. Most of them are going to have a similar nomenclature to this. What you see here should translate to most brands that you'll work with. But if you do end up buying like an Ideal, it'll look very much like this. Now, let's adapt this to what we did with our custom-made cable. So I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to use my factory-made cable that I've already verified. Again, I verified this cable before we used it. If this cable were bad and I go to use test my cable, I end up getting a fault, then it could have been this guy. So verify, verify, verify. So we're going to go here first, and then we're going to plug into our keystone connection. Now, from here down to here, we've made a chain. And so if I take and plug this in here, we are testing continuity on pins 1 through 8. And the ID number is coming from this device here. If I had multiple of these devices, say I had 8 of these, I'd have ID 1, ID 2, ID 3, and so on and so forth. And you could take and put these from room to room to room to room in a completely wired house and be able to not only test for continuity, but also test for IDs and be able to come up with an accurate labeling scheme for your wiring. When you're dealing with dozens of cat wires and you're terminating, you really want to know what wire in your rack or on your punch down device that you're using at your head end, what wire does what. It's going to make your life a whole lot easier. So a numbering scheme or a mapping system is pretty important, and the ID number that these things carry will help you do that. Again, so this is just basically testing continuity on your custom-made Ethernet cable, or I say Ethernet, but we use cat cable for so much. This is an IR wire. This is an HDMI wire. This is an Ethernet wire. This can carry voltage to a wall charger for whatever. Like, you're going to use this cat wire for all sorts of stuff, but getting your continuity and making sure you have the right conductor going from point A to point B on both sides of your endpoint is the critical element. And so you're going to use this device plus good termination tactics, and you're going to get it right every time the first time.